Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, and if you are new, then a big huge welcome to you. Today's video is going to be something that I want to split because I want to record like a little bit of a video diary, because there are some things that are going to change and I'm going to make a little bit of stepping stones. And of course I'm going to be talking about the COVID vaccine, but the COVID vaccine which involves myself and its different parts of the journeys really. I know I'm not making sense, but I'm going to get into that detail in a little bit. So when I was doing my doll video, I had a video request, and that video request was if I would talk about me having the COVID vaccine in an autistic and epileptic point of view. And of course, since I haven't had the vaccine yet, because in the UK I'm not on the top main 4 priority list, so that means that I'm not in the age category group to have the vaccine yet. But I thought that rather than doing just one video, I would split everything into 3 parts. So the first part, which is the one you're going to watch right now, is the one where I talk about my thoughts, feelings and a little bit of criticism before the COVID vaccine, because I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I have a tiny little bit of criticism of how it's organised. And then the second part is me having the first dose of the vaccine, and then the third part is just the conclusion of it all. And bear in mind, I may get some of the information wrong because I really don't know if things have changed over time, or maybe there are some bits that may be true or may not be true, or just simply I just get things wrong in general. I won't go into a lot of detail at the beginning because, well, everybody knows what's going on at the moment in terms of the UK lockdown and the 3rd lockdown, and then just talking about the different stages of the COVID vaccine, who's going to get it. But if you don't know what the priority groups are, because a lot of people have been asking me this, I will leave a link in the description box down below to the BBC website, where they have a little graph of all the priority groups in terms of who goes first in which category. However, I am in the stage where I'm feeling slightly comfortable about what's happening, because I'm just slowly processing into just going into the routine of knowing what's going on and what I want to do, and just basically just go with the flow really. So with the COVID vaccine, I have been thinking about it for months, and when it came out, because I know that at the time there was one type of vaccine and now there's so many more than one, I wasn't really too sure about it, because I was, and I'm still very funny about vaccines. No, don't get me wrong, because I'm not going into the conspiracy about vaccines causes autism. No, it's nothing like that at all, because I don't want to get on the wrong end of the stick. But vaccines, for me, I just really don't like it. And the reason why I don't like the vaccines is the needles. Oh, I really hate the needles so much. And to be honest though, I have been through a lot of them, because when I always go for my neurology appointments, I always have to have a needle so they can measure my blood test to see how I'm coping with my medication and how I'm doing with my vitamin D levels, because I have a little bit of a weak immune system because I don't go outside pretty much, but I'm on the prescription for vitamin D tablets. But there's just something about having a vaccine that I'm just like, ugh, no, needles. But I'm not afraid of that, because I previously have decided to have some jabs. Well, by jabs I mean flu jabs up the nostril, and it is being available to adults now, but since I'm still a bit funny with the needles and all of that, I've been told that the nasal sprays for the flu vaccine are so much better for people on the spectrum. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but this is what I heard from a local nurse who talked to me about it way before lockdown started last year, and I never really forgot that because I thought to myself, now that saves me a lot of panic and it saves me a lot of time. But with one sacrifice, things just come up to another, really. And I know with the COVID vaccine, I know that we can't get the nasal spray for the COVID vaccine because it's not going to be possible. And the needle and the jab is the only way it's gonna go. And I know it's understandable because it's I don't know how this works because people don't really know how it's going to go down because they haven't really tested it on nasal sprays, which I completely understand because it's not doctors or scientists' fault, it's just the way it is. In the past, I was nervous about this and I still am, don't get me wrong, but I decided that in order just to calm me down, I've decided to watch the news a little bit more, but not on the news channels, but I mean just read articles from the BBC online because the BBC, as far as I know, most of their articles tend to focus on medical research, including the vaccines. So I have been reading a little bit of that and that has calmed me down. But then also I decided to take a 3-week online course on a study site called FutureLearn, and they started the course on the COVID-19 vaccine and vaccines for other pandemics as well. And I thought it was really interesting, but I did it during the second lockdown. And honestly, I would highly recommend it. So if you want to have a look for yourself, I will leave a link in the description box down below. And if you have done the course as well, let me know what you think. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. But for me, I really enjoyed it. I found it was very informative. I learnt something new about it. It gave me a bit more confidence, and I know how vaccines are made, produced, manufactured, etc. And that's got me back into doing some science a bit more. And I don't know if I want to do more science courses, but I'm just going to have to see what happens. And even though my confidence has grown and has opened its doors, I still think that I'm just actually getting used to things because I've heard so many people giving their thoughts about it. Some people I know are for it and some people, they're not. Some of them are against it, but not really like, no way. I'm not too sure about this. I'll just have to wait and see how it plays out, which is fair enough because I know people have lots and lots of opinions about it. But it's really interesting just to see how things play out. And at the moment, so at the time I'm recording this, my dad actually received his letter to have his first dose of the COVID vaccine. And since my dad is in the category of one of the 4 main priorities, it's going to be really helpful for me to understand how it works really. And I know I can't really go while he has the vaccine just because of safety, which is completely fine, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see what it's like, how my dad's feeling, and if it's really worth having the vaccine. And even though my parents told me that even though we're not too sure, we should definitely have the vaccine, it's gonna probably settle my nerves a little bit and it's gonna help me understand, because after my dad I'm going to be the next person who's going to have the vaccine. But it just depends really on what's going to happen, because at the moment I'm on category 6, which means that I am in the vulnerable group for people aged from 16 to 64. I don't know when I'm going to get the vaccine, but my guess is that I'm probably going to have it between either March, April or May, because I don't really know, but I know that I'm going to have it during the spring, and I know that I'm going to have the doses on a 12-week period. I nearly said 2 weeks, but it's not 2 weeks now, because it used to be 2 weeks, then it jumped to 12 weeks, but now doctors are really considering the gap should be 6 weeks. And I don't really know how long I've got to wait between each dose, and I think my guess is that whatever happens will happen and just have to go with the flow. But I heard that for one vaccine there could be a 3rd dose, but then again, we're just going to have to see what happens. I don't know if it's just speculation, or if it's a rumour, or if it's an indecision. Who knows really? Who knows what's going on? Also, with autism, it's become a little bit divided in terms whether it's going to be in the group or not, because I have had a chat with a few of my friends about it, and one of my friends said that he counts as being in the vulnerable group because his GP said he has, but then a lot of people have said to me as well that autism doesn't count, and it's got me really confused, and I just really don't know what's going on. If I didn't have epilepsy, and if this was the case, then I would have to wait a bit longer, but mainly because of my epilepsy, I'm going to get the vaccine anyway. But this is just a thing that I don't really understand. But this is going to be really interesting to see what happens, and I know I'm rambling on quite a lot, but this is a thing that's really important, not just to me but to my family as well, but also for carers. They're entitled to get the vaccine early as well, and I know that several few people, including my mum, who's my full-time carer, is going to have the vaccine herself, but only when she gets the letter from the National Health Service. But again, we're just going to have to see how we go, because we know a few people who are carers, but I don't know. It's just been like wibbly wobbly all over the place really, and a lot of people have heard like loads of things, and there's a lot of discussions that's going on, and it has got me muddled up at certain times. But we're just going to have to see what happens really, because at the end of the day, some things don't make sense, depending on lockdown wise, because I heard that the lockdown rules in the UK will end on the 31st of March, and then also with the 3rd lockdown, whether we are going to come out of it or not, but back to the tier system again, I don't really know what's going to happen, because if I get the vaccine during the tier system after half term, which is going to be likely, I don't know how I'm going to structure a routine, because originally, if lockdown period does go on, I am feeling that once I get my 1st dose, I would be staying at home, and I don't know about walking or not, but since I don't walk long distances anyway, and well, especially during the all 3 lockdown periods, I just thought staying at home for me will be safer during the 12-week period until I get my 2nd dose. But depending on what's going on, I might have to change my strategy. So seeing people who are in my social bubble or have to walk 2 meters apart for the distance, I'm not really too sure, because I know that with the high risks of the virus, I know that I am still vulnerable, and I know that even though people have been vaccinated, the virus will still be carried around with them. So I think once I know enough information to know what's going on, because it does chop and change and it's really frustrating, I'm just going to have to figure out a different plan, and just to see how everything goes. I will see if I can try and stay at home a little bit in between each vaccine dose, just to be on the safe side, but I really don't know yet for sure. But if I do make that decision, or if the things that I'm not too sure about what to do, I might make a little bit of an extra 1A or 1B video about it, but I really don't know for sure. But we're just going to have to see how we go. But in conclusion, I think that whatever happens, we're just going to have to go along with the flow, because there's nothing we can really do at the moment, and since the target for vaccinating people in the UK is getting closer and closer, it's just going to be closer and closer. There's a possible chance that I might have the vaccine right about the right time, or maybe earlier, but who really knows what's going to happen. And then yes, that's really all I can have to say really. So I'm going to be drawing this video to a close right here. And like I said before, I will leave all the links I mentioned in the description box down below. And if you have done the course, then I know I have asked this before, but if you have done the course already, what did you think of it? And are there any scientific courses that you would recommend as well? I would love to hear about them, because if there are some ones that have been suggested, I will go try them out and I will get to that stages as well. But then yes, that's really all I can say at the moment. But until then guys, I hope you have a wonderful day, and if you are getting the vaccine, I hope it all goes well, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and I'll be thinking of you all, and hopefully everything will go smoothly and safely, and hopefully by the end of this year we'll be back to normal-ish, and we'll be on the road to back to normal very soon. Double fingers crossed. And until then, always remember to keep on dreaming and never stop believing. Stay safe, sending lots of love, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!